Welcome to the dairies of science fiction, where extraordinary stories come to life. Enjoy the journey. The corridor adjusted itself as he walked, narrowing politely to his shoulders and then widening again, as if embarrassed by the intimacy. The human man decided not to comment on it out loud. He had learned, over the course of this mission, that talking to alien architecture rarely improved one's reputation. The floor pulsed faintly beneath his boots, responding to his weight with a soft glow that followed each step like a hesitant thought. Somewhere inside the walls, something large exhaled. He told himself it was just a ventilation system and not the palace thinking about him. He had survived worse places than this. Asteroid storms, border wars. A jump malfunction that briefly turned his left arm purple and convinced a medic drone it belonged to someone else. Compared to that, walking to receive a reward should have been easy. Still, his mouth was dry and his pulse refused to behave. He ran through a list of acceptable rewards, credits, titles, a ship that didn't smell faintly of burnt algae, and carefully avoided imagining unacceptable ones. The universe, he had learned, loved loopholes. 2 guards accompanied him, tall and jointed in ways biology textbooks would find offensive. One of them glanced at the other and clicked softly. The translator in his ear hesitated, then offered, quite helpfully, that they were arguing about whose ceremonial weapon looked more impressive. He coughed to hide a laugh. The guard with the larger blade noticed and straightened proudly, nearly slicing a wall organ that recoiled in alarm. The palace dimmed its lights in what might have been irritation. The doors ahead did not open so much as decide to no longer be doors. The air changed first, heavy with unfamiliar scents, metallic, floral, something like rain remembered incorrectly. He stepped forward and felt very small, which was impressive considering the ceiling was doing its best to resemble a sky. At the far end waited the queen, elevated not by a throne but by gravity itself, the space around her subtly bending inward. She regarded him with eyes that had seen centuries pass and found them only moderately interesting. "You have completed what was asked," the voice said, layered and precise, vibrating through his bones more than his ears. "Yes," he replied, then added, because silence stretched dangerously here, with minimal screaming. A pause followed. Somewhere a court official dropped something. The queen tilted her head a fraction. Amusement, perhaps, or the distant consideration of having him vaporized later. "Custom demands acknowledgement," she said, "and reward." His shoulders loosened despite himself. This was it then, the end of fear, the beginning of paperwork. He straightened, trying to look like someone who deserved good things rather than accidental ones. A subtle movement at the edge of the chamber caught his eye. Someone was being brought forward, footsteps careful, almost reluctant. He frowned, confused, and then the figure stepped into the light. She looked human at first glance, disarmingly so, until his gaze settled on her long ears, elegant and unmistakably alien, curving back with a tension that mirrored her posture. Her eyes met his for the briefest moment, filled with something sharp and restrained, and his thoughts scattered like badly secured cargo. The queen spoke again, calm as orbit. "Your reward is presented." He did not move, he did not breathe. Somewhere in his mind, a very small, very brave part of him tried to make a joke and failed completely. The silence stretched so long that it began to feel ceremonial, as if this, too, were part of the reward. The human man became acutely aware of his own breathing and immediately tried to breathe less suspiciously. The alien woman stood a few steps away, hands folded in a way that suggested training rather than comfort. Her long ears betrayed her despite the stillness of the rest of her, tightening and relaxing in small, involuntary movements, like punctuation marks to thoughts she refused to voice. He cleared his throat. The sound echoed far more than felt polite. "I'm just going to say this," he began, then stopped, realizing he had no idea what this was. "I think there may have been a misunderstanding, possibly a very large one, galactic-sized." The queen watched him with an expression that suggested misunderstandings, were the foundation of civilization. "Clarify," she said. He gestured vaguely between himself and the alien woman, instantly regretting the gesture because it looked like he was presenting her back. He dropped his hand. "I was expecting something more portable." A ripple moved through the court. The translator hesitated again, then chose the wrong synonym, briefly announcing that he had requested a smaller woman. Several officials gasped. The alien woman's ears flicked sharply, then froze. He winced. "No," he said quickly, pointing at the translator node embedded in his collar. "That thing lies, constantly. What I mean is," he paused, then sighed. "I didn't realize people were on the list." "They are not people," the Queen replied mildly. "They are obligations." That word landed with more weight than any weapon. He looked at the alien woman again, really looked this time, and saw the tension in her jaw, the careful neutrality of someone who had learned survival through stillness. She met his gaze and held it, and there was something stubborn there, something alive and unimpressed by destiny. "I have a name," she said suddenly. The court stiffened. The Queen's attention sharpened. He felt a ridiculous surge of relief, as if someone had just confirmed gravity still worked. "That's excellent," he said before anyone could stop him. "Names are very useful. I highly recommend them." Her eyes widened a fraction. Humor, tentative and uncertain, brushed against the fear. "You are not reacting correctly," she said. "I get that a lot." The Queen regarded them both, fingers tapping a slow rhythm that caused the air to vibrate. "The bond is not yet sealed," she observed. "Interesting." A small, hovering device drifted closer, projecting ancient symbols in soft light. He squinted at them. "Is that a contract?" "It is a living record," the Queen said. "It observes intent." "Does it observe sarcasm?" he asked. "Because if so, we're all in trouble." Against her will, a quiet sound escaped the alien woman, halfway between a breath and a laugh. Her ears flushed a deeper shade, and for the first time her shoulders eased. He noticed, and something inside him shifted, settling into a resolve he hadn't planned on. He straightened and faced the Queen. "If this is a reward," he said carefully, "then I want to know what she wants." The chamber seemed to lean in. The living record pulsed brighter. The alien woman looked at him, startled, then thoughtful. When she spoke, her voice was steady, but her ears trembled openly now. "I want," she said, "to not be owned." The word echoed, not loudly but deeply, and the palace walls exhaled as if they, too, were waiting for the answer. The Queen did not answer immediately. Time behaved strangely in the chamber, stretching and folding like an indecisive map. The human man wondered if this was how people aged faster in royal courts. He shifted his weight and felt the floor respond with a faint chime, helpfully announcing his discomfort to everyone present. He grimaced. "Sorry," he muttered to the palace, which dimmed slightly, either forgiving him or judging him. The living record hovered between them, its symbols rearranging themselves as if gossiping. The alien woman kept her gaze forward, but her long ears angled toward him now, alert, listening not just to sound, but to the emotional static buzzing in the air. He suspected they were picking up quite a lot from him, most of it unflattering. "You speak of wants," the Queen said at last. "Wants are inefficient." "Sure," he replied, relieved to be talking again. "So our rebellion still happens." A few courtiers hissed softly. One fainted with impressive elegance. The alien woman blinked, then looked at him again, more directly this time. There was curiosity there now, cautious but undeniable. "She is bound by law," the Queen continued. "As are you." He frowned. "I don't remember signing anything." The living record pulsed and projected a brief memory. His mission briefing, the fine print scrolling too fast, his own voice saying, "Just click accept." He groaned. "I hate when the universe uses my past against me." The alien woman tilted her head slightly. "You agreed without reading." "Yes," he said, "but in my defense the font was hostile." Something like amusement rippled through her, subtle but real. Her ears relaxed just a fraction. It felt like progress, which worried him. Progress in alien courts usually came with consequences. The queen descended then, not moving so much as allowing gravity to change its mind. Up close, her presence pressed against his thoughts, heavy with age and certainty. "The reward may be refused," she said. "At cost." "Of course there's a cost," he sighed. "There's always a cost. Is it credits, exile, dramatic execution?" "Responsibility," the queen replied. The word echoed unpleasantly familiar. He glanced at the alien woman. "I was hoping for something I could misplace." She surprised him by answering, "You already have." He blinked. "I do." "Your fear," she said calmly. "You dropped it when you spoke for me." That hit harder than any threat. He scratched the back of his neck, suddenly aware that the room was very quiet again. "Don't tell anyone," he said. "I have a reputation." The living record flared brighter, reacting to something unspoken. The queen observed this with interest rather than anger. "The bond responds to intent," she said, "not obedience." Around them, the palace shifted, corridors murmuring, systems recalibrating, as if the structure itself sensed deviation from tradition. Somewhere far above, a warning tone sounded, then stopped, apparently reconsidering. The alien woman took a careful step closer to him, not touching, choosing. Her ears trembled, broadcasting nerves she no longer bothered to hide. "If you accept nothing," she said, "you defy them. If you accept me," she paused, then met his eyes fully, "you change what it means." He exhaled slowly. Humor bubbled up, thin but necessary. "No pressure," he said. "Just an empire watching." She almost smiled. The warning tone returned, louder this time, then broke into several tones that argued with each other before settling on something sulky. The human man glanced upward. "That doesn't sound reassuring," he said. "Is that the palace panicking?" "It is recalculating," the queen replied. "It has not done so in some time." "Same," he muttered. The living record drifted closer, symbols folding into new patterns that made his eyes itch. He resisted the urge to poke it. The alien woman watched the shifting light with a familiarity that suggested she had grown up under its judgment. Her long ears angled toward the device, then toward him, triangulating fear and curiosity like instruments finding a signal. "You are delaying," the queen said. "Indecision is a decision." He lifted his hands. "I'm deciding. I'm just doing it slowly so no one gets accidentally married, enslaved, or turned into a cautionary mural." A court official coughed. Another nodded thoughtfully, as if murals had a proven track record. The alien woman spoke quietly. "The cost of refusal will fall on me." He winced. "That's unfair." "Custom rarely is," she said. Then after a pause, "But you already know that." He looked at her, really looked, and saw not a symbol or a reward but a person who had learned to survive by anticipating other people's decisions. Humor felt inadequate here, but he tried anyway. "If I accept nothing," he said, "do I at least get a voucher, maybe store credit?" Her lips twitched despite herself. The reaction was small, but it mattered. Her ears flushed faintly, betraying the effort it took not to hope. The queen considered them, ancient patience wrapped in curiosity. "You may accept responsibility without possession," she said at last, "but it will bind you both. Observation will follow." "Of course it will," he said. "Nothing says freedom like being watched by a sentient building." The palace hummed, offended. The living record brightened, projecting a thread of light that hovered between him and the alien woman, waiting. He hesitated, then spoke carefully. "I won't claim her, I won't own her. If we're bound, it's by choice, not command." The symbols rearranged, surprised. The thread did not vanish. The alien woman stepped closer again, close enough that he could feel the warmth of her presence, the quiet tremor she no longer hid. "If we are observed," she said, "then let them see truth." He nodded. "Fair warning," he said. "My truth is mostly improvised." She smiled then, openly this time, a real one, cautious but genuine. Her ears relaxed, curving back in a way that felt like trust rather than submission. The queen inclined her head. "So recorded," she said. "Let the empire watch." The palace exhaled, systems settling into a new pattern. The warning tones faded, replaced by something almost like curiosity. He glanced at the alien woman, suddenly aware that whatever came next, they would face it together. "Well," he said lightly, "this is already the strangest reward I've ever not accepted." She looked at him, eyes steady. "And the first I have ever chosen." They were escorted from the chamber under a level of attention that made walking feel like a performance. The palace rearranged itself again, corridors unfolding in slow, deliberate arcs, as if ensuring they were never alone but never quite together either. The human man leaned slightly toward the alien woman and lowered his voice. "Is it too late to ask if this comes with an instruction manual?" She glanced at him, then at the ceiling, then back again. "If it does," she said, "it will be written in symbols that judge you." "Excellent, my favorite kind." A small, hovering unit followed them at a respectful but undeniable distance, its lens blinking softly. Observation, apparently, had opinions. He waved at it. It blinked faster, he sighed. "I think it likes me." "It is recording your stress patterns," she said. "You are inconsistent." "People say that." They entered a chamber that decided to be a resting space only after considering them. The floor smoothed, the walls softened their glow, and a faint hum settled into the air, tuned to something between calm and alert. The door did not close so much as forget how to be open. He rubbed his hands together. "So, first day of not being owned, how does it feel?" She considered this seriously. "Unstable," she said, "like standing on a bridge that has not yet decided whether it is a bridge." "That's fair," he replied. "I once flew a ship like that." Her ears angled toward him sharply. "You survived." "Barely, the ship did not." A pause stretched, not uncomfortable, just new. She moved closer to the center of the room, testing the space, testing the moment. The living record drifted in after them, now smaller, less intrusive, like a reminder rather than a threat. Its symbols shifted whenever either of them felt too strongly, which happened more often than he liked. "You defied the queen," she said quietly. "Why?" He shrugged, then stopped when the room subtly adjusted to the motion, as if taking notes. "I don't like rewards that breathe," he said, "and I don't like being told who belongs to whom." Her ears trembled. "You gain nothing from this." "I gain sleep," he said, "eventually." She studied him, eyes sharp, searching for deception and finding mostly exhaustion. Humor crept into her voice, careful but sincere. "You are a strange champion. I didn't apply for the position." The hovering unit chimed softly, projecting a notification neither of them could read. She sighed. "Observation has escalated." "Of course it has." The palace hummed again, distant and thoughtful. Somewhere deep within its living systems, laws older than both of them adjusted, not comfortably but undeniably. She straightened, a new steadiness entering her posture. "They will test us," she said. He nodded. "They always do." She met his gaze, long ears relaxed now, no longer hiding her emotions. "Then let them watch," she said. "We will give them something unfamiliar." He smiled, small but real. "Yeah," he said, "choice tends to scare empires." The living record pulsed softly, not in warning but in acknowledgement. And for the first time since he entered the palace, the human man felt the future shift, just slightly, under his feet. The test began without announcement, which made it feel exactly like something designed by an empire. The room shifted while they were speaking, walls sliding apart to reveal a wide gallery filled with light and movement. Figures appeared along the edges, observers, officials, projections of minds too important to attend in person. The hovering unit multiplied, which he took as a bad sign. "I think we're trending," he said quietly. The alien woman closed her eyes for a breath. When she opened them, her posture changed, spine straightening, long ears angling back in composed readiness. "They want performance," she said, "not answers." "I can do performance," he replied. "Answers are harder." A platform rose beneath them, lifting them gently, insistently, until the gallery had a better view. Symbols bloomed in the air, coalescing into scenarios, simulations stitched from probability and law. The living record brightened, eager. He squinted. Is that a moral obstacle course? Yes, she said, it adapts. Of course it does. The first scenario unfolded around them. A distant colony, failing shields, limited evacuation capacity. A voice asked who would be saved. The platform hummed, waiting. He opened his mouth, then stopped. She looked at him, then stepped forward. We choose together, she said. The symbols hesitated, the system recalculated. He felt a ridiculous surge of pride. Teamwork, he said, very radical. They argued quietly, not dramatically, weighing options, trading glances, disagreeing without dominating. When they chose, the scenario dissolved, not approving but adjusting. A murmur rippled through the gallery. The next test arrived faster. A command appeared, ancient and blunt: claim authority, enforce obedience. He laughed, a short, incredulous sound. Wow, they really only have one move. She tilted her head, ears twitching. Say no, she said. He did. She did, together. The platform shuddered, surprised, then steadied. A few observers shifted uneasily. One projection flickered out. The tests continued, escalating, probing for fracture points. Each time they answered not with defiance but with alignment. When humor surfaced, it cut the tension cleanly. When fear rose, it was shared, not hidden. The palace itself seemed to listen, systems resonating, learning something new against their will. At last, the gallery dimmed. The queen's presence returned, heavier now, thoughtful. You undermine efficiency, she said. Happy to help, he replied. The alien woman met the queen's gaze without lowering her own. We demonstrate sustainability. Silence followed, dense but not hostile. The living record dimmed, its symbols settling into unfamiliar configurations. Observation units withdrew, one by one, confused but recording. The platform lowered them gently back to the floor. He exhaled. So, he said softly, did we pass? She glanced at him, a smile touching her lips, ears relaxed, unafraid. We changed the test. Somewhere deep within the palace, something ancient adjusted again, and for the first time it did not sound displeased. The palace did not return them to the chamber of reward. Instead, it opened outward, walls thinning until starlight seeped through like an admission. The human man noticed this immediately, because palaces rarely did anything without dramatic intent. He glanced at the alien woman. Either this is a promotion, he said, or we're being politely ejected into space. She considered the widening horizon, her long ears lifting, catching currents of sound and emotion that stretched far beyond the room. It is neither, she said. It is an ending. That's usually when something explodes, he replied. Nothing did. The stars held steady, vast and indifferent, and the palace's living system slowed, their hum easing into something like rest. The queen's presence lingered without form now, not looming, simply there. The bond stands, her voice said, not as ownership, as precedent. Those are dangerous, he said mildly. Yes, the queen agreed. The living record floated between them one last time, its symbols no longer sharp or demanding, but settled, complete. It recorded no claim, no command, only alignment. Then it folded inward and dissolved. Its task finished, he watched it go, surprised by the faint sense of loss. I think we broke it, he said. We freed it, the alien woman corrected gently. They were alone then, truly. No observers, no hovering lenses, no palace adjusting itself to expectation. Just a threshold opening onto a future that had not yet learned how to judge them. He turned to her, suddenly unsure what to do with his hands. So, he said, what happens now? She smiled, not cautiously anymore, but with quiet confidence. Her ears relaxed fully, no longer signaling fear. Now, she said, I choose. And? He asked, trying and failing not to sound hopeful. I leave, she said, with you for a while. He blinked, just a while. She laughed softly. You are still human, I am still alien. Let us not rush tradition in the opposite direction. He chuckled, the sound lighter than it had been in a long time. Fair. They stepped forward together, crossing the threshold as the palace receded behind them. already adapting to the absence of what it had tried to define. A ship waited beyond, modest, functional, blissfully unconcerned with destiny. He paused at the ramp and looked back once, then shook his head. "Worst reward ceremony ever," he said. "Would attend again." She touched his arm, brief but real. "You arrive seeking payment," she said. "You leave changed." He considered that, then nodded. "Yeah," he admitted. "Turns out choice weighs less than fear." The ship lifted smoothly, stars stretching as they entered open space. No empire followed. No law chased them. Just motion and possibility, and two beings no longer frozen by expectation. As the jump